This video is going to show you how to add rhythm to your text that you have already picked out. If you have not picked it out, then you are not ready to watch this video. I'm going to go through 6 steps for you. This is the first step. Decide what type of mood your text expresses. This will determine if your tempo will be fast or slow. So if you have a text that is sad, you're going to want it to be slower. If you have a text that is happy or exciting, it should be faster. And the reason you need to do this is because if you have a slow tempo, this is going to determine whether you use more quarter notes and half notes, or if it's faster, this will determine if you use more quarter notes and eighth notes. Here's an example for you. The first one I have for you, to me, Lift Your Feet Up, March in Time, is an exciting text. So you are going to want this to be faster. Text number 2, Lord, remember me, remember your people. To me, this is a reflective text. So you are going to want this to be, your tempo to be slower. Step number 2 is going to be to divide your text into phrases or sentences by writing one phrase on a line. When we talk, you can often tell that we are going to come to an end of a sentence by the way that our voice sounds and the fact that we pause before we start our next sentence. In music, we need to be able to do the same thing. We need to be able to tell that you're coming to the end of a sentence in music by the way the music sounds. So what you're going to do is you're going to probably have the last note of a phrase be a little bit longer, and you might have a rest before you come to a new phrase or a sentence. It's the same thing. So example, what I want you to do is, here's an example of a text that I picked out. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. What I did is I looked for the punctuation marks, and I then divided it into different lines. If you notice, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 punctuation marks, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different lines. Step number 3 is to go word by word and decide how many syllables it has. And what you need to do is you need to write it above the word so you don't forget. Because when we write our rhythm, we are going to only have one note per syllable. You cannot have 3 syllables on the same note. You need, otherwise that's really difficult to sing. And our goal is for us to make this be fairly singable. So what I'm going to do, take my pencil to mark how many syllables each word has. The one is my shepherd has 2. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes is 3, my soul. Simple enough, right? Then I'm going to underline. This is probably one of the more difficult steps, so really please make sure you're paying attention on this one. Underline the heavily accented words or syllables. Important words and heavily accented syllables will be on the first and third beats of each measure. Unimportant words such as or the or of which are not accented, should be on the second or fourth beats of each measure. To figure out what syllables are more heavily accented, you might need to say the phrase over and over again and listen for which syllables you're saying louder than the others. So again, here's my example for you. The Lord is my shepherd. The is not an important word, so I'm not going to underline it. But the Lord is a very important word. Is and my are not important. Shepherd now is an important word, but I'm not going to underline the whole word. I'm going to underline just one of the syllables. Now, I'm not really sure which syllable is more accented, so here's what I'm going to do. I am going to say the word a couple different ways. I can say either shepherd or shepherd. Which one sounds more like how we hear it normally? Let me say it again. Shepherd or shepherd. I think I normally hear it as shepherd. So I'm going to underline the first syllable. Now the second phrase is a kind of a phrase that I get to play around with a little bit. I shall not want. What do you want to be stressed out? These are all kind of important words if you really think about it. I want to have stress that it's I who will not want. And I want to also underline not, because I want not to be really stressed when this song is coming out. I shall not want. If I underline want, I might make it, if if I'm not really listening, I might make it sound like I should want, but I do not want. I want to stress that he makes me lie down in green pastures. And then now the rest is where you can kind of get to play with it now. He makes me. I kind of like that he makes me. So I'm going to also underline makes because I think that's really important. And what does he make me do? He makes me lie down. He makes me lie down in green pastures. I can underline green, but green is an adjective, and so I really want to stress the fact that it's pastures. And then again, he leads me beside. I want to stress that he leads me beside quiet water. Now, if you notice, I made a mistake. Beside is 2 syllables. I should only have part of that word underlined. And let me go through that try to decide which syllable I should have underlined. Beside or beside. It should be the second syllable that is stressed. So I'm going to erase the first part. He, and then again, I want to underline that he is doing all this. I'm not doing anything. He refreshes my soul. He refreshes our stressed syllable, and soul is our stressed syllable. And like I said, you can kind of decide and pick what you want to have stressed. If you want something else to be stressed, that's fine. Just make sure that it's not an important word or an unimportant word or an unimportant syllable. Step number 5 is what you are going to do next is you're going to draw bar lines to the left side of every other syllable that you underline. This is going to help determine where your measures will be divided when you add notes. So I'm going to go back to this example for you. So here's one of my underlined syllables. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bar line to the left of it. Then I'm going to skip this one because if I was doing this, when I write my measure and my notes in my measure, this is going to be my first beat. This is going to be my third beat. So I'm going to do another one here. This is going to be my first beat. This is going to be my third beat. Then here and here. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not correct. Let me try that again. Let me erase that. And here. So now this is going to be my first beat. This is going to be my third. And you kind of get the picture. You're going to do every other. Now, once you get done with that, you can move on to step 6. You get to add each note. You get to add your notes. Like I said before, each syllable is going to get 1 note. And we are going to write all of our music in 4/4 time unless you come up to me and you really prove to me that it can be in a different time signature. We're going to use 4/4 time signature. You might want to make some of your words have 1/8 notes, quarter notes, and some half notes to fit the measure that you're in. And remember that the last word of phrases are often going to be held out a little bit longer because we want to make sure that we have the phrasing correct. So I'm going to go back to this example. The Lord is my shepherd. I'm going to have this be a quarter note before I even begin. This is going to be called a pickup note. If you have this, you might have a pickup note also where it just is 1 beat before you even start, and that's acceptable. This is going to be beat 1. I'm going to make this a quarter note. The Lord is my shepherd. Now, if this is going to be my third beat and this is my first one, I have 2 syllables I have to fit onto 1 beat. So that means I'm going to use 1/8 notes. This is going to be a quarter note, and this is going to be a quarter note. I shall not want. If you notice, I have 4 syllables and I have 4 words, and so I could very easily just make 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is okay, but this is not very exciting. What you want to make sure is that you have some variety. And I noticed that when in my second one, the next measure that I would do, I am going to have some variety. He needs to be a half note. I'm sorry, I did that wrong. So he needs to be a half note because my next word is on the 3rd beat. He makes. And I'm going to add some variety by making this a dotted quarter note and this a dotted, make that an 1/8 note. So right now my rhythm goes like this. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me, and that's all I have. Now I'm going to have to go back and fix some of this because Want, if you notice, is the end of a phrase. So what I might need to do is I might need to add a bar line somewhere so that I can make want longer. So I might need to add a bar line here and then fix these. What I would do first is go through and figure out a rhythm and then go back and change it so that the ends of your phrases are longer. So we did step 5, we did step 6. If you're having trouble with your phrasing, that's okay. I'll help you. Here are the steps that you have that I've talked about. Decide what type of mood your text expresses. Divide your text into phrases. Go word by word and decide how many syllables it has. Underline the heavily accented words or syllables. 5, draw bar lines to the left side of every other syllable that you underlined. And 6, add notes. Now, these are guidelines. As you noticed that there were so many different ways that I could have even done the text that I had. I could have underlined different words, or I could have underlined different words. When you are then working on adding your notes, I could have had different lengths of notes, and you might need to add bar lines. Like if you want to make it faster or slower, you might need to, like if you want to make it slower, you might need to add a bar line so you can stretch it out a little bit like I need to at the end of that phrase. Or I might want to take a bar line out so it sounds faster and I need more eighth notes to make it go faster. You have the liberty to play around with it a little bit. What to do next? You need to comment on this video and you need to tell me, what do you think is the most important thing to remember about adding rhythm to your text? Also, please write down what questions do you still have. Number 2, take the quiz. The link to the quiz is right underneath this video. And you may take the quiz more than once. I would like for you to get 100% on it, so I will only take the last grade for the last quiz that you take. So you can take it as many times as you want to. I don't care. What you do not need to start working on your rhythm right now. What I want for you to do is have watched this video and to do these things that you see up here. And then when you come to class next time, you will have lots of time to work on adding rhythm to your text, and I will also then be available to help you get started.